everybody, and welcome to Turn2 episode 21. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by Gnimsh, who's also co-hosting the show. And this week, our guest is MaSsan, a popular streamer from Korea. He did stay in the US for a little bit, but now he lives in Korea streaming full-time. What's up, MaSsan?
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for staying up late. I know it's like 2 or 3 a.m. right now over in Korea. Before we get to you, though, Harry, let's talk to MaSsan and check in with him. What's up, Gnimsh? How you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man? Well, I'm doing good in general, but a bit sad about yesterday's game, if you know what I mean.
Against Tides.
Yeah, against Tides. Good times, though. Good times.
But at least you were able to win your series against Luffy, right?
Oh, yeah. That's something. And I had some good games versus Tides, but we'll probably get to that. So... Or do you want me to like?
No, you sound already pretty crushed, but we'll touch about that. We'll talk about that pretty soon. But first, I want to kind of introduce the guests for people who not are completely familiar with MaSsan. So go ahead, MaSsan. Kind of introduce who you are, the team you play for, and some of the accomplishments that you've achieved throughout Hearthstone.
Oh my god!
TSM wants.
Yes, I'm MaSsan, who plays for Team Solomid TSM. Achievements, I guess I got second place in Lord Arena recently. I don't really partake in dailies or weeklies. So besides a letter rating, I don't really have much achievements.
This season you actually managed to get legendary on every server, right? And you're peaking pretty high on some of those ladders too, right?
Yeah. Rank 1, rank... Huh?
Yeah, I'd say that's quite an achievement, actually. Like getting legend on every server and every region.
I don't know about that, but
even more so, you're like super high ranked on a couple of them, right?
Yep. Rank 9 in picking rank 9 in NA and 2 in Asia. I haven't really done much in Europe though.
Okay, well, not yet. Or I don't think there's
yet.
Actually enough time. Not everyone can get
Couple days. I can grind.
Yeah, I guess so. So cool. So part of the reason we invited MaSsan, a big chunk of it, was to talk about his experience on Lord of the Arena, where he was able to get second, losing to Reina in the finals, but still getting $1,000. So MaSsan, I kind of want to just start things off by asking, how was your experience playing in the tournament? Because it's an arena tournament, so it's unlike most or pretty much every single well-known tournament so far in Hearthstone.
Experience-wise, it was unique because everything was done online, and I don't think I participated in online casted tournaments as far as Hearthstone goes. Besides, everyone was just chill and just relaxed. The whole thing actually took a lot longer than we expected. The tournament should have been finished a week at least ago, but we got kind of lazy.
The players got kind of lazy, or what?
Yeah. Since MaSsan and I live in Asia, we couldn't really get the timeline corrected. Since either one of us had to stay up until very late night or wake up really early. Well, either one of the people who played against me or Amaz.
Right. There's some logistical issues and stuff. What do you think of the tournament and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I actually have a question because I personally haven't seen it. Somehow I missed it, and I'm sure that many viewers haven't seen it as well. So how did it work? Because when I think about arena tournament, the first thing that comes to mind is you were just drafting arena decks and then you played with them. Is it true?
Yep. We were drafting, but at the same time we weren't allowed to pick more than
two cards
of the same card, because we wanted to recreate those decks and play it. And that didn't work out too well for me, since I was offered something like, I think 5 Ornamentals, which is the best card in Mage deck, Mage Arsenal. So yeah, that didn't go too well for me. But for the others, penalty was the same for the others as well, so that's fine.
So do you think that Mage was OP overall? Because I was watching Crip commenting on the tournament after the tournament, and he said that Mage was giving a big advantage to all the players that were able to pick it.
Mage. Well, I mean, I think the mage, rogue, and hunter are top 3 arena classes at the moment. Well, at least I'm not sure about hunter at the moment, but I think the rogue and mage are about the same. In fact, I have a higher win rate with the rogue. I average like 10.5 wins per arena run with the rogue.
Yeah, I brought that
Wait,
up.
per 3 losses.
The fact that you like often get 12 wins like 70-80% of the time, right, with rogue.
What? No. I get
You
12
wrote that on your
wins.
like guide that you win like an insane amount of 12 win streaks on arena with rogue.
More like a third time. There's somewhere between third time and quarter time I win. I go 12 wins. In average, it's still 10.5.
Ah, okay. I must have misread that then. But well, like, regardless, it was a really fun tournament. I enjoyed casting and stuff like that, and it reached 70,000 viewers for the peak of the finals between you and Reynat, which is cool. Gnimsh was actually like one of 3 people who didn't watch it, who normally watches Hearthstone.
Yeah, that was actually weird. I mean, like this tournament was the second biggest tournament after, like, second biggest watch tournament after BlizzCon, right? Like BlizzCon had 100,000 and this was 70K. So
right. Yeah, it's
that's
actually the highest viewership just for this year, for a non-sanctioned offline event, for a lot of things. And it's the first arena tournament, which a lot of people kind of pegged it as its novelty factor. I kind of want to ask you guys, though, do you think this is a format that will eventually grow in more popularity, or do you think that was just like a one-time thing because everyone always saw Constructed and they just wanted to see how arena went? What do you guys think about the viewership and the format overall?
MaSsan first. I have like a lot to say.
Long story. Okay. For me, I mean, I think like everyone who comes into the scene will look at the arena first. So I think arena scene will always be consistent. But at the same time, those player who played for a long enough time tends to look away from it right now because they have enough cards. And considering that if Hearthstone survived for long enough, arena tournament should diminish. Not that there has been any so far, besides this one.
Gnimsh, what do you think?
Yeah, personally, again, looking back at Wild TCG and Magic, this format, like arena format, is called limited. So instead of just taking a deck from the metagame, like taking an archetype, a player has to build the deck on the spot. Like they have this limited pool of cards because they are presented with some picks like on the normal arena format, and they have to make the best out of them. Like they have to build the best deck possible. So if we like, a lot of people argue who's the best player. Is the best player the person who wins tournaments consistently using other people's decks, or the person who actually builds the best decks in the world that are being used by other players? So I know that a lot of people just really like this limited format, which is surprising. And instead of just watching the same decks all the time, like Miracle Rogue or like Zoo Warlock, whatever, they are able to watch the top players in the world facing themselves with like the common cards, uncommon, like the rare, just basic cards put in a pool. So personally, I think this is also a thing. Like a lot of people will be interested in this kind of format, and well, if people are interested, then tournament organizers are interested, and we'll see more of those tournaments in the future.
I kind of want to pose a question that's been thrown out quite often. Do you think it takes more or less skill to play in this kind of format? Do you think it's just a complete separate set of skills? Because deck building isn't necessarily as applicable. Like that kind of deck building for arena isn't as applicable for, say, Constructed. Do you feel like there's a lot of crossover? Like, especially I want to direct this at MaSsan because you were playing it, because you've been playing a lot of Constructed, but you are known as an arena expert as well. Do you feel like one takes more skill? Are you more partial to one or the other? Like, give me some of the insight here as a guy who's done both sides.
It takes different set of skills. Building deck and playing the deck is completely different, first of all, as Gnimsh kind of pointed out. But at the same time, like each part has some luck into it. And if it's so the playing this kind of format has a drafting part and playing part, and if both part has some sort of luck in it, combined the luck amplified and becomes more of the luck base instead of a skill base, in my opinion. Although skills still exist.
I mean, it might get more skill based if we get more cards. Like the bigger
Oh, yeah.
When we get more cards.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, personally, I think it's a different format. There is a lot of like common ground when you're assessing the minions, like trading when you play the game. But it's still different because in constructed, you really know what your opponent has and what you have, and you try to counter the format, the deck, the matchup that you actually played a lot of times before. So we're trying to play the best possible game. And in this format, it's a bit different because you have like a weird pool of cards. You just got this deck, and this deck, like, it's not a random pool. It's you while drafting the deck, you had some idea, like, are you more aggro base or more like mid range? And you really want to use those cards in the best possible way when you're facing your random opponent and the deck idea that they have. So it's kind of different when you play, and obviously it has the deck building feature as well. So it's interesting. Personally, I prefer constructed. Like I really like honing this one deck and then facing my opponent when I played like 50 games of that matchup and my opponent played 50 games, and we try to like find small things, those small edges that we can get. But I appreciate the limited format as well. It's pretty interesting, and I'm definitely going to watch the next tournament that there will be.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I really enjoyed about it the most is just the adaptation that has to take place on the spot. It is a little bit too random, I think, for a best of one of some kind. I think Crip suggested maybe drafting more decks. Maybe, some people suggested how Magic does it, where if you reach a certain round, then you have a second draft. That's your new deck from that point on in the tournament. So I think there's a lot of cool flexibility with how tournaments can go about it from this point on. So I'm excited. I hope tournaments pick up this format and run away with some of the ideas. I like that it challenges different aspects rather than just kind of net decking and learning the ins and outs of, can I draw auctioneer and learning how to do other combos, or even unleash the hound, that kind of stuff, where people feel like everything's tried and done, because people kind of know constructed to the point where it's like you can map out turns 2 to 6 even, right?
Yeah.
And it's very rarely that you get caught out of surprise or caught off guard. So I'm looking forward to more format changes, and I hope this kind of this sticks around. So props to Reynad and TempoStorm for launching that. One thing before we close out this topic, I kind of want to bring it up because MaSsan got a little bit of hate, but people were kind of reacting to some of your facial expressions. You were really happy, you were dancing. Was that just you acting for the camera? Were you actually like caught in the moment? Can you talk about what was going on when you were dancing there?
Well, I was given a lot of feedback while I was streaming that my stream could add more characters, so I was trying to give it to it during the tournament scene. Then I think I overdid it. I definitely overdid it.
Well, I think
that's all there is.
It came from a good place though. Like it didn't look like you were general, like because Ekop, he puts on the sunglasses, he makes the faces and stuff. But I think it looked like you were having good fun. And people were just kind of saying you probably overdid it, but they liked where it was coming from. What do you think, Gnimsh, about that kind of showmanship?
I think people are really sensitive about this stuff. Like the community is taking some part of fun that we as players can have. Like really, most of the top players are friends, and sometimes we just like to BM each other, and it's fine. Like to do stuff, like do faces, use emotes. It's just it's fun and it's sportsmanship, and a lot of people they really read too much into that, and they feel offended, even though like the actual player that is playing there is not feeling offended. So
I actually asked them beforehand and after, and that I'll be overreacting, and they said okay, but Virus doesn't know that, so
yeah.
No, I think it's okay. It's some people, I agree with Gnimsh. I think people are kind of overreacting to this kind of stuff. It's like he said, well played, before the game was actually decided. He doesn't deserve to represent our community. That kind of overreaction.
He should be banned from representing.
Yeah. Can we get him punished somehow? And everyone's like, yeah, let's torch him. I think It is a little sharp overreaction, but to some people, I think it's a good thing that people are, paying attention. And I kind of like erring on this side of too much personality versus not enough. There's a lot of games that people really lack that. And MaSsan, I don't want you to stop doing that kind of stuff. Even though, you might do some crazy stuff here. Don't go overboard, but I personally like it, man. It's nice.
All right.
All right, cool. So with that, the purpose of Lord of the Arena, for anybody who wasn't familiar, was to launch a new website. It was for a team that was sponsoring it called Tempo Storm. It's created and owned by Reynad, and he got players like Gara, Time, and Rekful on his team, and he even put out a little commercial that shows how to become legendary by using his site and whatnot. Have you guys been able to check out the site at all? Gnimsh, did you take a look at it?
Well, I just browsed it. Well, it's an okay site. Like, I didn't actually check out any content, so not much to say here.
Okay. MaSsan, did you get to take a look at the site at all?
I did take a look, but same thing. I didn't check out any content yet.
Well, I guess we are just not the target for the site right now. So.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
So legends don't need to become legendary. I guess one of the things that I only have a few talking points here. One of them was that premium is going to be $9 a month, and there's been some pushback. Do you think there's space, or do you think this even belongs in this space to be able to charge monthly for that kind of price for content, or do you feel like Hearthstone content should kind of be free? Like, people are giving out guides all the time on forums and websites and whatnot. What do you think about this premium subscription service to give out guides?
Well, personally, it's like if the player, it really depends how the community and the content shapes. Like, there is a lot of free content if people are interested in that, but there's also a lot of players on a very high level who have experience and stuff. So if well, a party wants to put that content on like under the paywall, that's probably fine. I mean, personally, I'm getting asked all the time about content and stuff, and like if I can have a look at the deck or if I can tell something and stuff. So, and I just don't have time. And maybe if I can get some money for that, maybe I will find the time, because it's like it's really hard to split your free time into producing content, getting better, playing the tournaments and stuff. So I think it's more like, on one hand, it seems weird because, oh yeah, I will have to pay for the content because why should I do it? Because I can get all the content for free. But on the other hand, it's like when there is a side with the subscription model, the content producers will be paid. So it will be better for the community because there will be more content producers. They will be more motivated. The content will be of a higher quality. So in the end, like there will be more content available. And well, if you don't want to pay for that content, you don't have to. You don't have to subscribe. And people who are really into high quality content can just subscribe and get that. So I think it's actually beneficial for the community.
MaSsan, do you think $9 a month is too much?
Well, no, and people pay for
Twitch.
I don't know, like I've seen some insane amount of coaching prices. Yeah, it's like being coached but to the general audience. So maybe if they have the audio guys, if they have like something more than just having deck list and all right, you play this and that in this turn, that's it. If beyond that, like Gnimsh said, like if you can come up with the contents that can extend your understanding beyond what just text can deliver, then yeah, I think that's definitely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually I'm kind of on your side with this, MaSsan, because $9 a month could be expensive to some people, but it really is supposed to be like a shortcut. So if they can offer more than just like, I think he kind of advertised mulligan guides specifically and like playthroughs. But if you can offer something a little bit beyond that, make it even more personal, for example, hosting master classes or even some coaching of some kind, one-on-one, some kind of offer like that. I think the $9 a month is worth it to some people. And the most important thing that people kind of forget is that this is a way to support the team directly and for them to be able to get behind one of the teams and build a brand. Because Temple Storm gets a lot of comparisons to TSM from League of Legends from the very beginning of how they wanted to create a site that's a central strategic hub for a lot of people. This is not something that MaSsan's team paid me to advertise for, but TSM does a great job of networking a bunch of stuff. Like, just go to their site and you see like 8 of the top League of Legends strategy stuff, whether it's LoL counters or pro builds or anything like that, right? All on that site. So I think Reina is being really ambitious with the team to try to do this, and it's a start. Whether or not it works out for them, we'll see. But good luck to them, and hopefully it works out. We do have some other team news. We have Clarity Gaming has disbanded officially. It's kind of been under the wraps for a while, but they were losing members. Kit Kats did go to Curse, but they also had a strong roster of Admirable, Chalky, who came from Mana Grind, Zumba, and Puffin. I don't know if they've actually went to new teams. Do you guys have any insight on what exactly happened or any new teams that these guys are playing for?
Well, my insight is that I'm not sure how much of this is official, but I know that the team was kind of on a hiatus. Like they didn't have contact with their manager, so it's like if the manager doesn't have time for the team to like push it forward, well, the team will disband at some point. Like they felt like they have to stay for some time. Some of them were dropping, some of them were still staying and like believing that the team will reignite and be a team again. But on the other hand, like nothing happened, and the manager also took like he said that he just disbands the team because like of lack of time or whatever. So a pretty sad situation. I mean, Clarity Gaming had a good lineup of players, and also they were on fight night. So yeah. So I mean, the team consisted of a lot of good players. Like they had KitKats as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and KitKats is now cursed. So I'm sure like the teams will pick up those players. They're really good and famous as well, like with good deck ideas and tournaments achievements. So sad to see Clarity Gaming go, but well, we'll get a new team soon enough, I guess.
Son, do you have a moratorium on Clarity?
I'm surprised. I'm friend with the owner actually, so I been hearing all the news coming in, and he like they have Team House for StarCraft, and they have like he committed so much into the team that I'm surprised that it disbanded like that.
Did they disband like in total all the games or just Hearthstone?
I thought that was the entire
I
could be wrong. Yep.
Oh,
it was originally taken from Team Liquid, so StarCraft team goes as well.
Okay. Yeah, like I kind of talked to Adama back in 2012 when it first started, and I was asking him like, not only the goals, but also like is it solvent? Is it possible to like continue this on? He said, yeah, the overhead costs are pretty low. It's no secret that Clarity didn't really salary their players, so it wasn't like the upkeep on the players and rosters wasn't that high. Clarity was trying to market the players more than anything and sell sponsorships. Apparently, the team house was also paid for, but you don't really need a team house for the Hearthstone portion. So something kind of went amiss, and people just kind of want to know why. But Clarity just kind of did the whole like, oh, we'll miss you. And people are like, well, tell us why you're leaving. And like, whoa, it's going to be really sad when we're gone. Yeah. So, yeah, bye.
Sometimes it's better just not to ask. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
It's obvious that people are curious, but sometimes you can just step on the mind. Like, if there's like personal problems or something, you just don't want to hear it. I mean, for the Hearthstone guys right now, they are obviously sad, but I think the team delivered for them. Like, it did a lot. Like the team brought them to Fight Night, as I said. Like it helped promote them as well. So I think like they shouldn't feel really betrayed and like that they were left alone and stuff. Like they're in a very good position right now to be picked, but by other teams like TSM or like whatever. So yeah, I think like as I said, it's sad to see the team go, but the people are still there and they will be playing. I don't know about StarCraft though. Like maybe StarCraft guys are in a bad position right now, losing like the roof and housing.
Yeah, they did have a few like Korean players as well living there, but that was a while ago. Like I don't know if that's still a thing, and they went back to Korea because they obviously can't stay in the U.S. forever without some kind of legal documents. So the entire situation was probably pretty messy on that side. But at least for the Hearthstone, it seems like the players were pretty amicable about the depart, at least in the sense that they don't have anything like. It's not like your traditional where like you see the reports and the Skype logs and the email chains of people like asking where the
drama,
reimbursements
the
Oh,
drama.
right.
Yeah.
No, we're lacking
it's
the
it's a good
drama.
thing drama didn't occur.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. But just like you said, Gnimsh, these players are pretty noteworthy, and they will be showing up in a lot of other tournaments. Admirable's been picking up a lot of casting. And Chalky and Kit Kats, Puffin, they're going to be playing a lot of tournaments. One of the tournaments that's been in the press recently is DreamHack. And we've had the benefit of just 1 hour ago reading over the official seed announcement. So go ahead and pull it up, boys, because I think this is a topic worth settling on for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I'm seeded. I didn't know. So
what?
Shut up. I'm going to go ahead and read the 12 players. It's from the announcement page. Let me load it up real quick. Okay. It says, today we are extremely pumped and excited to announce the seeded player list of competitors from around the world who will be competing in Hearthstone at DreamHack Summer 2014, including Team Curse Alchemix, Root Gaming, Amaz, Dark Wanax from Curse, Ekop and Gnimsh from Doggy House, Gara and Tides from Tempo Storm, Life Coach from Good Guy, Savij, another Curse member, Radu from the Romanian team, Next Please, and Taj from Meet Your Makers. Guys, what do you think about this 12-player list? Is it a solid list of players? There are some notable people left out. We'll talk about that, but let's first talk about the people who are invited here.
Okay, so if I'm going to start, like those people are like one of the best players in the world. That's obvious. Well, I have to say,
no bias.
No bias. Like really, you know that I love information, so I have a lot to say about every player on this list. Like I'm not surprised about any player here. Like every player has a lot of achievements. There is a good selection of countries as well. Like I don't feel like any country is dominating here. I'm curious about Life Coach. Like he's really, I'm not sure if he's from Germany. Like I've seen German flag next to him.
I thought he is from Germany. That was weird to me.
Maybe there is a US flag because he was like first on the NA ladder or something.
Yeah, and maybe you know what it is? It could be a registration issue or something. Like maybe he registered under US or something by accident. I don't know.
Could be.
That's kind of weird. Actually, some people don't know about players like Radu, Taj, and Life Coach. MaSsan, do you have any background or insight on these guys? Like, how good are they? And have you run into them on ladder or have you played them? What do you think about these unknown people?
Wait, did you just refer to Taj as unknown? Are you talking about Life Coach?
Taj from Netherlands player, Meet Your Maker.
It's I think it's Thes actually.
Oh, is it Thes? I thought it was like the H was hard, like a hard T, like Taj.
Oh.
I think
or is it Thes? Is it
Thes? Thes. It's not Thes.
Thes. Okay, I've been calling it wrong the entire time.
And I only know this because my friend from Netherlands, that was his name, Thes, and nobody knew how to pronounce it. And one day he said,
that's embarrassing. Okay.
I think Thes is also acceptable. Thes or Thes.
Thais. Okay, well I was calling it Thais, but that's not what it is. So Thais.
Thes.
However you Thresh? I don't know. MaSsan, help me out here. What do you think about these guys?
As far as I know, they're very high-ranked players. I don't remember which server, but I've seen both of them. Thes on top 10 of the ranking system.
I can add some stuff if you want. Like Thes is on EU. He's a part of Meet Your Makers as we see here. He's a Zotac champion. Like he won 5 of the Zotac tournaments.
Wow.
3 NA, 2 EU. So that's a lot. And right now he's the reigning king on the I Harp Few King of the Hill series. He won versus Strife Crow, and the first
4-0'd him with the Ramp Druid. I mean, actually, technically he was down 3-0, but then he went on to 4-0 him with the Ramp deck.
Yeah.
Pretty nasty.
And also he won the I don't remember who he because that was the second one. Oh yeah.
He beat
Okay.
Twisted before that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a good player from Netherlands. Life Coach is a really high-ranked player on almost every server. I think he was rank 2 or 1 for a long time on NA, and then he was like rank 4 on EU or something like that. Like Life Coach is a huge ladder warrior, actually quite literally because he's been playing a lot of aggro warrior as well. And a lot of people really copied his Hunter deck, and that's where he came to fame. And he even plays top 4 in EU versus CN. I'm adding a little hype behind this guy because for a long time people said that he was one of the best players, but not many people watch his stream compared to some of the popular guys. He gets like 1,000 people watching him. The guy really should have more because I think he's a really talented player.
Yeah, he's really good. Definitely.
I think he's a good deck builder as well. He's really funny too. Like whenever he loses, he gets so mad. He like punches himself on the chest, and I feel like he's gonna rip his beard off or something. And he probably has no shirt because that'd be in shreds by then.
Did you hear the rumors? He's like, I heard rumors that he's actually living in Ecuador, like in a chilling in a house because he's actually a millionaire. So he's playing Hearthstone for fun, because he's like he's an established poker player. So he's really into the game because he finds it fun and he wants to compete.
He lives in Ecuador.
He lives in Ecuador.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like somewhere where it's hot. I don't know. Like that's just
so. Life Coach is a German millionaire.
Yes.
Who's living in Ecuador but registered as a U.S. citizen for DreamHack.
Probably, yeah. Not sure how much is true, but it's kind of awesome. Like when you go to his Twitch channel, it's like if you want to donate to Life Coach, there is a message like you don't have to donate. I can donate to you if you want.
He says no thanks. Basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That's awesome.
And he's Team Good Guy. Do you guys know something about Team Good Guy? It's like a former London conspiracy. They changed the name. I'm not sure if they changed the roster.
I wasn't sure if he left that. So that's a team with him, Dart, and Firebat, and Mono, right? That's the team.
I think so. Yeah.
They're good. I don't know too much. I've seen them like get really high on the rankings. MaSsan, do you know about this team at all?
I don't know much about them. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. What I do know is that they used to be known as London Conspiracy. I told Dart that is an awful name for a team. Like, way to sell sponsorship for London Conspiracy. Like, how are you going to try to promote your players like that? He was kind of laughing, and I guess they ended up going with a different sponsor as well, which is cool because I know Dart casts a lot of like NESL, and he tries to do a lot of tournaments as well. So these guys are really trying to make a name for himself, and it's cool to see the non-mainstream teams. Like pretty much everyone on that list, other than Radu, who we'll talk about in a second, are on teams that people really have notoriety in some form of esports.
One more chunk of information about the Team Good Guy, because I think like they will be promoting themselves. They are under the radar right now, that's for sure. But they will be trying to promote themselves. And recently we've played a show match, like Doggy House versus Team Good Guy. I'm not sure if it was aired. I think it wasn't aired yet, but there will be a show match. Doggy House versus Team Good Guy. Should be good to watch.
Well, that sounds really fun. Is StrifeCrow playing for Team Doggy House in that one?
I think so. Yeah, it's a free me ACOP StrifeCrow.
Wait, I thought it was from Liquid Value.
No, actually, StrifeCrow has joined Doggy House for a team league, and kind of like unofficially joined the roster. I don't know. Gnimsh knows more, but he doesn't tell me. He refuses to tell me. I'm gonna bother him every week about it.
Well, we invited him, and he's like, "No, not yet. I will play with you guys, but I don't feel like being a Doggy House member yet." But we are getting there. Maybe he'll, become a doggy at some point.
We'll figure it out. The last player we kind of want to touch upon in terms of this, because you can make a justification. Actually, there's two people I want to talk about. I kind of forgot one more person, but let's talk about Radu next, who's a Romanian local player that people don't really know. In fact, he got top 4 at DreamHack, but wasn't streamed once, I believe. Like he wasn't on stream ever. He
wasn't streamed. He was playing versus me round 1, and he won.
Oh, that's right, he did.
He won versus me round 1, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like that was the first and only time we saw him, right? I don't
Yeah,
remember seeing him on stream after
he
that.
wasn't on stream, but he was on a winning streak after that. He was like doing pretty well, and he finished in top 4. He also finished in what, top 8 of the China versus EU tournament, or was it top 4 even?
Top
Also
four.
very high
Yep.
finish. Yeah. So definitely one of the best Romanian players right now, with pretty good scores. Like, he's pretty young actually. Is he like 18, 17, 18? I don't know. He looks very young.
Yeah, he's very young. He does show a lot of nerves and emotions when he plays a little bit. Like I was kind of watching behind him, and he's very expressive with stuff. But the most important thing to know about Radu is that he actually does have a list of impressive achievements in Hearthstone, and he probably is the best Romanian player because I heard that every like Romanian tournament he goes to, he always wins. Like he doesn't really lose apparently when he goes to some of the local ones in Bucharest or even just like the local lands and offline ones. So he's a player to watch out for. And the last one that people probably don't know too much about is Alchemix from Team Curse. He was picked up and after Savage, and people kind of took note of him. But what do you really know about Alchemix, Gnimsh?
Well, I know that Alchemix is a deck builder. Like, he's not afraid to build, to introduce new ideas. And he was in a team Don't Kick My Robot before Curse picked him up, and they picked him up for a reason. Like, he had a very good legend finishes, and he was around like playing tournaments. So, and he's also like a content producer. He's writing guides and stuff. So, he has a like deep understanding of the game right now, and he had some good scores. So. Definitely one of the players who I would pick for the whole group. Not sure if I would pick Alchemix for the top 12. Like, no disrespect, obviously, but definitely I would consider
Okay.
Alchemix there.
All right. Okay.
I
All
mean, the
right.
thing is
So,
that because you said like we will be talking about the players who are actually missed. The thing is that those players, like all of the players, send their achievements, and a lot of players have hidden achievements, like not very official ones. For example, if
hidden achievement.
you mean like
Can you
a ladder, for
justify that?
example, like some of the people can consistently be in a top 20 ladder and like every
Mm-hmm.
season, and if they are not really participating in those offline events and stuff, like they are not really promoting themselves, you wouldn't know even. Like, I didn't notice tides of time before, like when I was like going into like hidden achievement stuff. So I wasn't following NA ladder that much, and then I was to cast the game Tides of Time versus Era on Deck Wars, and I made a background check, and I was surprised how many achievements Tides of Time has. Like, he was really doing it every season with a lot of stuff. So it's really hard to follow. So like, put yourself in the DreamHack organizer shoes. They get all those lists of players where people will have like tons of tournaments, maybe playing the Reddit tournaments, like daily tournaments somewhere. So like they get like 30 tournaments played with like top finishes, and then they have like this guy who played like in one tournament or two, and he had a good score, and he thought that he's one of the best players in the world. But still, there's like this other guy who had like a lot of achievements.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that it was really tough to decide the final list of 12 people.
Yeah. Which actually should bring us to our next topic. MaSsan, we're gonna go to you first. Who got snubbed from the list? Who do you think is the most deserving person? Let's say DreamHack came out with a press announcement and said, look, we messed up. We're going to give a 13th guy a seed and only 3 people get the qualifier. It's not going to happen. But just say, for example, DreamHack's like, okay, actually, slot number 13 opens up. Who do you give it to, MaSsan? And why, obviously. But first, tell me who.
I actually don't know who's going, who's not. If Colento's going, which is he? Anyone know?
Colento is not going. Colento would be an obvious
He got
pick.
Putined.
Yeah, he
Wait,
got
what?
country.
Oh,
He got Ukraine.
ugh. I was gonna say that he'll be the very first pick.
Yeah. Also, Strife Crew is not going. Strife Crew is flying to China to visit his family. So.
Yeah. Well, then, like, I don't know.
Sounds like me, obviously.
Okay, so I have some inside info.
I'm not going either. So
apparently there was like 17 players to pick, so they had to cut 5 very good players that are not making the cut.
Do you know
Yeah,
the list?
the rumor was that DreamHack had like 8 or 9 guys that they were pretty set on, and then they had like a list of 10 guys who they kind of like couldn't decide, and just had to pick 3 or 4 guys and make a cut somewhere. So
Yeah.
we'll give MaSsan some time to think. Gnimsh, do you have some person that in mind? Number 13 here.
Well, I have some people in mind for sure. Like
Just
the
one
first
though.
one.
No. Just one for now.
Oh man, come
Because then
on!
if you list a
Don't
lot,
do
if you
this.
list a lot, that's kind of like a cop out. Like,
There's a lot of people in different categories. Like I have categories like the best tournament achievements, like the best overall achievements, best streaming
but
popularity,
this
community
is
achievements.
number 13 for DreamHack. This is number 13.
Uh, okay, so like on out of top of my head, like if you would just wake me up and say like, hey, this is the 12 guys on DreamHack, I would be like, okay, where's KitKats? Not sure if like KitKats is the guy, but I will be like, I'm really missing KitKats in this list because like from the curse guys we have all the guys beside KitKats.
Sure, but I guess I mean that's
It's it kind of doesn't fit. Like if you look at KitKats probably because like KitKats is super known because of his decks ideas and stuff.
right.
And
But what achievements does Kit Kats really have? I mean, he did win
yeah, that's the
like a
exact
couple
that's
of
the
small
question.
cups, like the Chat Lethal Invitational, for example. But where is his notoriety other than being a good deck builder? Because there's also a good deck builder who hasn't been included in this list that everyone kind of notices right off the bat. Of course, we're talking about
Andre,
Raynad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reynard is kind of in the same shoes as KitKats, like being really helpful to the community and being a good player. Like he played at DreamHack really well, but didn't like finish high enough, I guess. And I'm not sure if he's playing in the weekly tournaments and stuff. Like he's mostly like doing his stuff, streaming, promoting the site, helping community with stuff. So not really presenting himself like he's saying he's the best player. I'm not actually sure if he said that, but he's like
Well, you have
definitely
to have the confidence too. Like you have to believe you're the best to be the best, in my opinion. You
yeah,
you
definitely.
you think you're one of the best, right, Nimsh?
Oh yeah,
If not
definitely.
the best, exactly. And MaSsan, you think you're one of the best, right?
Maybe. I don't
Maybe.
have confidence yet to say that.
Wow,
I want to
that's
say
the
I'm one
Korean.
of the
That's a
better
Korean
players.
coming out of you, MaSsan. Don't worry.
Okay.
Did you think of somebody, by the way? Now that we stalled for some time for you.
I'm not sure if a Spo and Reels is going, but those two players. Well, do I
Reels
just
is on the
but
list.
Reels is actually a seed, but Spo
Oh.
is going, so that is a valid pick. Spo from VVV. Right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Spo from VVV, also a good player.
There is a Spo from VVV and there's a Spo from Managran as well. Do you guys know? Like, I'm pretty sure there are two different
Oh yeah,
players.
you're right. One is like SPO and one is SPOH.
The one from Managran is one who always ranks higher. So I was talking about him actually.
Oh, the one on Managrind, not the one on VVV. Which one? Okay, so which Spo are you talking about?
He's talking about. I was talking about VV Spo. Like I think I know Spo from Managrind, but I don't know enough. I guess he would need to promote himself more. Like this is kind of sad that right now the community is only shaping like the players, the top players and stuff. So, like looking at the Gosu Gamers rankings, all the top players they have a really small difference between them. Like you win a tournament, you go to be first in the world. You lose like one round, and you fall like to be out of top 10 in the world. So, everything is shaping, and right now being the best, like the skill set being the best and winning tournaments. It's important, obviously, but it's also super important to just promote yourself and say to the world, "Hey, I'm one of the top players," because people just don't know. It's like the first DreamHack Romania. I was talking to Andre who was organizing them, and Andre was a Hearthstone fan, so he knew all the top players. But then when he was talking to the highbrows, to the guys who were organizing the whole thing, they didn't know who the best players are because they were not into Hearthstone. So if you are there, if you're listening to the show, if you're watching us and you feel like you are one of the best players in the world, just try to promote yourself more.
Yeah, put yourself out there, streams, and tournaments, even commentary and stuff like that. It's important. So okay, let's just round it up. So Gnimsh is picking Kit Kats, and MaSsan said Spo for Mana Grind. So it's my turn. I pick Forsen from Mana Grind. I pick another member from Mana Grind. I'm picking Forsen. Because I think Forsen is actually a really, really good player who always barely falls short in like everything he does. Like the EU versus Yen, for example, he actually had a tiebreaker with Kunzi, I believe, on the 16th slot. And if he did, who knows? Because he would have probably faced Savige, and that series was really close too. So maybe if he defeated Savige, he wouldn't have gone to one on the thing, and he'd probably make a name for himself. Forsen's a really cool deck builder as well. Like he brings all these kinds of unique ideas and stuff, and he's a fantastic Miracle Rogue player. So I think Forsen's probably one of the best players that wasn't selected as well, and I think he's going to make a big splash in the BYOC. That's my pick.
Yeah,
for a guy
I
who probably
would
deserves a seat as well.
agree as well. Definitely, Forsen was like one of the best players, even for Fight Night. Like he was picked for Fight Night, being one of the players who always finished high on the weekly tournaments and stuff.
And he also always ranked high on ladder. He's already qualified for the BlizzCon tournament by placing in the top 16 already last season.
Yeah, for the first season. So Forsen definitely a strong pick. Well, there is one more player that I have to mention from Poland as well. Lothar was also one of the.
Yeah, that's right. Lothar has pretty decent results if you think about it. Like making IM Katowice through the qualifiers was pretty impressive. And he got top 16 at DreamHack.
Top 16 DreamHack, yeah. And he's also playing a lot of weekly tournaments, like sometimes even two at the same time, like playing MLG and ESL, being like kicked from top 3 of one because he's playing the other. So also a very good player that you have to watch at if you're playing at the BYOC.
Yeah, BYOC has a lot of killers. There's not enough spots for all these guys to fit in, because I know some other people are going. Duckwing Face from Mana Grind, I think he said he was interested in going.
Is Sixto going?
I don't know. I think Sixto is still a student or something, so maybe he's not done studying or something. That's the reason why he didn't go to last DreamHack, because he also has studies, but he should go too. He's a great player. There's plenty. I'm forgetting a lot, and everyone's gonna message me on Skype after they see this, and they're like, "Why didn't you mention?"
No, I mean, all the big teams are going definitely. Like Meteor Makers, Ignite is going, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, Ignite is going.
Isuba guys. I'm not sure if Alesh is going, but because he's like thinking about it. Well, right now those players who are not seeded, they face a really harsh reality. They have to buy the tickets to Sweden.
To play in a 256-man double elimination bracket with best of 3s.
Where only 4 people qualified top 16, and then you still have to beat all the 12 pros to get out of the group to get into top 8, which is getting the cost out. So definitely
it's gonna be really competitive, man. It's gonna be super competitive, and I'm looking forward to it. So if you guys want more information, go to DreamHack's website, dreamhack.se. MaSsan, do you have any last comments before we move on? Because we've been talking about DreamHack for about 15-20 minutes already.
No, I don't have anything much. I'm just learning about like all these new players to look out for.
Right. We're giving you the scouting report.
Yeah, basically. I know.
Yeah. Well, actually, I guess it's okay to mention though, you're not going to DreamHack though because you're qualifying. You're trying to go through the Korean qualifiers for BlizzCon. That's correct, right? And is that something people can watch, or is that all secret, or
actually don't know. It's an offline event of at least the top 8, I believe.
But it will
be streamed.
Okay. All right.
But it will be cast in Korean, and it'll be on Africa, which is Korean Twitch, basically.
Right. Okay. So we'll have to figure out some VLC shenanigans to watch you, but definitely let us know so that way we can see you.
You actually, MaSsan, you went ahead and booked the accommodation, right? Are you still selling it?
Yeah. I
Yeah, so MaSsan is selling his hotel at DreamHack. So anybody who wants one, go ahead and hit him up at MaSsan SC on Twitter. I'm giving you followers on social media, man. There it is.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of the other tournaments. Not as long as DreamHack, but we can talk about as much as we want. At the end of last week, BlizzCon was announced for 250,000 US dollars. The way to qualify for it is to be a top 16 ranked player during a season, community tournament high placings from April to August, or last call qualifiers. And it takes 130 players to play in a Swiss event, and then eventually goes to their offline finals where flights and everything will be taken care of. Gnimsh, you were very excited when this news came out. Why exactly?
Okay, so first thing is like the prize pool is amazing. I was afraid that Blizzard would just give like 10K for the winner, which is like still fine. But if you really try to compete to get there and become a world champion, it's not that significant. Giving 100K for the winner is like similar to the normal card game tournaments. Like the first world champs for World of Warcraft card game, the winner got 100K. Then it was cut to 50, and then it was cut to 30. But the first one was 100K. And then in Magic, I think it's similar. I mean, isn't it even less right now? It's 50. I think it's 50K for Magic. So like giving it 100K, it's like a statement. Hey guys, we are really interested into like developing Hearthstone as an esport. We're giving this budget to those best players in the world, and our world champion will be a happy man with all that money.
That's life-changing money. That's life-changing money for at least for like a young person like, who can play. Like a lot of these people are in college and doing studies in university. It can be something that completely changes the next few years of their life. You know.
Well, in Poland, you can probably buy a flat for that money.
You can buy Poland, right? Is that what you're saying?
You can buy Poland, exactly.
You can, you know, well, I mean, I heard Polish castles are actually really cheap nowadays because there's so many in Poland. Maybe you can buy one of those as well. MaSsan, you're talking about qualifying for BlizzCon. This prize pool is actually the same as, like, comparable to StarCraft 1 for Blizzard as well, or for BlizzCon. Yeah. This is pretty serious investment for Blizzard's behalf. I mean, what do you think about it?
I think it's a significant investment because I think the highest they offered to first prize for StarCraft is, I don't exactly remember, it's either 40 or 60K. So considering that, I think it's really good. Like they're investing more into this than StarCraft. The fact that kind of surprised me, but it's what it is, and it's good for us. It's good for us.
The mobile version. I'd say that the mobile version of the game is really flourishing and pumping money into Blizzard's pockets. So,
like this is what makes this is just so smart from Blizzard to announce it during their release of the iPads and making it really popular that way. Because then people saying, "Whoa, wait! There's like I could win $100,000 if I play and get good at this game." As it's a mobile, like no one's really announcing this for Candy Crush or Diner Dash or Angry Birds, right? There's no such tournament like that. WCG is dead, so there's no hope for that kind of stuff. But when Hearthstone is coming out on Android, when it's coming out on iPhone and all these other platforms and systems, I think that's just Blizzard showing like they really are trying, they care. It's not like hands off because people know Blizzard does usually take a hands-off approach, and it's not too overbearing. And I think it's a really good start, and I'm really excited.
Imagine the situation like you're just sitting playing the game, and you're like, "Oh, honey, I just qualified for a 100K tournament." Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal, right?
And just relax.
Like, what's Hearthstone? So it's going to be really cool. I definitely encourage you guys to try. This has also increased the try-hard level of ladder by an
definitely
exponential amount.
Right now, the argument that Hearthstone is not esports is totally invalid. Like people can argue esports, no esports, whatever. I will just compete to get there. Like I had so many friends asking me, like because I have a lot of TCG friends from the old times, and they were asking me, "Hey, the Hearthstone is like, whoa, there's money in Hearthstone. Like maybe I will compete." And I'm like, dude, like there's a lot of tournaments weekly happening, but they are no, I'm not interested in them. Whatever, DreamHack, I don't care. I want to play in that Blizzard tournament because it's Blizzard and it's an official tournament, and the payout is great. So
yeah, this is attracting players from different games to start learning Hearthstone. So if you're on top, you better watch your back because people are going to be gunning for you. That's for sure.
Maybe let's quick about the format real quick, because the format of the tournaments, the format of the qualifier to get you to the tournament is pretty good, if I can say. Because obviously to qualify, that's actually like even before. How do you qualify for this tournament? You have to be top 16 ladder, right? So that's at the end of the season. So how many players will qualify from the ladder itself? We have, what, 5 seasons?
Yeah, so a max of 80 there.
So how many spots do we have left? Like 80? 50?
They said 100 and I thought the number was 130. I'm looking at the thing again. Yeah, it says there's a total of 130 players will be participating in the qualifier. This is just for America, but it's mirrored in Europe.
Yeah, it's mirrored. So like each region you will have like 80 players qualified from the ladder, and 50 players qualified from different things like
tournaments, the last call, etc.
Yeah, probably like DreamHack will qualify you. IEM maybe like we'll have a couple of IEM tournaments before that. And the last minute qualifier as well. So that's cool. Also, like people will be fighting for, because like if you qualify a couple of times, like if you are Colento, for example, and if you are like first or like top 5 each season, you'll have you can qualify 5 times, and 2 people from each region that will qualify will like the highest number of they will get the highest number of qualifications from that, like from different events and stuff. They will be automatically seeded into top 16, right? Is that right?
I don't know actually. That's
they will be like,
heard of it.
I think they will be like seeded higher. So it's a very cool format, because we have 130 players and only 2 players will be will have an advantage. So it's not like a high amount of players that will get an edge above the others. But on the other hand, instead of just, well, I qualified, now I don't care about playing, people like the Colento, for example, can still fight for one of the 2 spots to get an edge, an advantage above the other players. So he can still like fight for the qualification.
Yeah. So I think that's a good summary of like why people should be playing and why people are honestly like just, it's so competitive, so cutthroat on ladder. Like everybody hates losing rank, and now there's like this weird thing where rank 17 is just as meaningless as 1,900 legend, right? To some people, maybe if you're the person that qualifies because a few people re-qualified by placing top 16. But if you're whatever number that is, whether it's 19th or 21st, it's just as useless as it being in thousands of legends. So people really, really want to hold on. And you can't even sit there anymore. People are playing so many games and they jump ahead of you. So people are hitting the ladder really hard. All right, cool. So that was a really good discussion on BlizzCon. I think before we wrap up the tournament section and start talking a little bit about the meta for the last leg of the show, we kind of want to let you guys know about a couple other events that are coming up, like the Tavern Takeover. It's featuring 8 players, including Gnimsh. It seems like this show is all about talking about Gnimsh's tournaments because we wanted to talk about NESL as well. Tavern Takeover will have Savage, Trump, Alchemist, Reels, Height, Gnimsh, as we said, Strife Crow, and Kit Kats. It's going to be brought to you by Azale and Admirable, who won't be casting and playing this time for $3,000 prize pool. Definitely go check that out. MaSsan, did you watch the previous Tavern Takeover by any chance?
I watched a few games, but I didn't watch the whole thing.
Did you like their presentation style at all? Whether like, because it was a lot more formal. It was honestly more like the beginning of Fight Night, where it was very formal, lights, live production, clean desks. Or do you like more of that laid back DreamHack Bucharest, or even the latest season of Fight Night, where it's more themed and like casual, I guess? What do you think?
I liked it. The theme itself, I really liked it. I think they could have changed a few things here and there, but generally the theme they're going for was definitely the one I was actually looking for. I don't know if they did promote it right though, because last time, if I remember, the viewership was not the best.
The viewership was actually at like mid 30,000.
Really actually, never mind. Early on it was not as good, but then later on it got really good. So never mind.
I think Blizzard was promoting it as well, and I was talking to the guys, and Blizzard will be promoting it as well on the main social media channel. So
Cool.
it seems like a good tournament. I really enjoyed the previous iteration of the tournament. We were talking with That's Admirable about the show like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this tournament as well, to watching it and to playing in it.
And it's not live, right, Gnimsh?
Wait, it's not live?
You already
Yeah,
played
it's
your
not
matches,
live.
right?
It's not live.
Right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
played your matches? All right. So
I'm just trolling you. Yeah.
okay. Just for clarification, so Gnimsh knows the result, but he's telling you to watch anyways because it's gonna be good. It's well presented. It's well cut. Some people like that casual atmosphere, but it's also nice to have some of that professionalism. And Zale and Admirable, they're gonna be back at it, and hopefully they can continue to improve their.
Do you guys know Hyped? Because like I haven't seen Hyped before in the tournaments, like, but he's known.
Last season he was ranked 2 and 3 finisher at the same time on NA.
2 accounts.
He's a miracle rogue god, apparently. That's what I was told.
Yep.
So, Hyped has a lot of hype around him as a great ladder player. Let's see if he can translate. And that's another reason why you should watch it, just because it seems to be a good mix of the really good players as well as some of the popular players as well.
I think
it also has a couple of Europeans. So it's nice.
I think that's also actually it's cool that you can get picked up if you're just a good ladder player, like just a good ladder player, but you don't have to really have like connections or have a YouTube channel with like 5,000 views. Like if you're this guy who's really good, and
make a name for yourself.
Exactly. So that's also a way.
Yeah, like I said, it's cool that they invited a couple of Europeans this time around because last time I think it was Savage and like all North Americans. So like slowly they're trying to.
Also, ACOP was there.
Oh, they also had ACOP. That's correct.
Yeah, but he lost so fast.
Nothing changed. My bad.
Poor ACOP.
Oh god.
He lost 0-3 and one was a disconnect. So
cool. We want to also remind you to maybe check out some of the other stuff that always goes on, like the Take TV Gentleman Cup. We can't spend too much time about it, but Gnimsh, just
come on, I will
talk about what's going on there.
Okay, so I will quickly summarize because like a lot of players, they don't have an idea what this tournament is. So I got
it's a team league. That's what I know about.
Yes, the teams are playing like Team A versus Team B. They are playing best of 5. So there is a tie like 2v2. Then there is an ace match, and the players who won they face each other. So each week we are sending decks. The lineup is like players. The teams are giving lineups. So like each week you get a lineup who is first to fourth, and you can do a mix like to confuse your opponents. Like, oh, the ACOP was first, so we will put our like strongest opponent to play against ACOP, and then next week people do the same thing, but ACOP is second, so like it gets mixed. So kind of a small mind games there. People play best of 3 with 3 decks. The league will be for 14 weeks total. I think this time we'll have the fifth week. Right now, Esuba from Czech Republic is leading. Doge House is second.
All right, so we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. We apologize for that, but we've got it behind us. So we've pretty much wrapped all the tournament talk that we had for today. Let's move on to the final part of the show, which is always one of the most fun ones. Let's talk about the metagame. So before we go into talk about the meta a little bit, about what's been going on since the past week, let's first talk about this new card that's been revealed. I put it new in quotation marks because it came out 5 days ago, but our show wasn't on by then. It's the Rebirth.
Fresh.
Yeah, it's Rebirth for Shaman, where it lists, quote, destroy a minion, then return it to life with full health. MaSsan, you've been playing a lot of Shaman, and you've been a big proponent for him. What do you think about this card and what's its impact?
I used to think that this card, well, I initially actually talked about it in, where did I talk about it? In one of the talk shows. And at the time being, I said that this card will be really just depends on what kind of death rattle the Shaman's going to get, or the neutrals. Because as for me to be able to use a conditional or the combo cards, I need at least 4 other cards that combo with it. Right now, I see Windrunner, Cairn, Alakir. I don't see the 4th one. But if I can find that substitute.
Come on.
Oh,
Leroy, right? That's
All
what
right,
everyone
Leroy.
wants.
Ideal. Leper Gnome, come on, 4 damage, so
Yes.
good.
What? 4 damage for
Harvest
2
Moon?
mana. 2 damage for 2 mana, actually. If you destroy it and bring it to, like, I don't think.
Have you considered using this card as actually like a counter card as well? Like you have all the cards in your deck that you can use with Death Rattle, but also you can, if you can target your opponent's minions, then Rebirth is like silence more or less. For example, they play like a minion and they buff it with stuff, or like a minion with well, the Divine Shield. Actually, Divine Shield is pretty cool, but
Yeah,
on your
Divine Shield pops back.
on your minions. But you just silence. For example, they play Mark of the Wild or something, and you just rebirth it and then kill it.
Yeah, I would
It's
assume like this completely destroys like, well, not completely destroy, but like it really wrecks like a Van Cleef that's really big or something like that.
yeah,
Or, like,
yeah.
when you bring it up, it just like all the buffs that it acquires or accumulates is just
Also,
negated.
this new Nerubian that would be kind of cool. Like
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the
that's
guy that
disgusting. Oh
yeah,
my
just
I
goodness.
the 4/4 on
wreck
board
their
for
board,
2
like
mana.
return all the minions to your hand, like whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also like it works with Divine Shield. Like if you have something that you use the Divine Shield, you can rebirth it. Like at the end.
Alakir.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's a cool thing because you know, just like you said, Gnimsh, it's kind of like undoing an unsilenced card, right? Because say you have a card that you really is affected by Death Rattle. So even if they silence your Death Rattle, you bring it back with the rebirth. So
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of uses.
Leroy.
I think some people were saying, well, yeah, I guess. You could
Oh,
win Fury
yeah.
Leroy and do the same thing, I guess, essentially. I don't know. I like the card. I think maybe running 2 of it might be a little excessive sometimes because it is pretty situational. But having 1, I feel like can be a really big boost to some of the Shaman's mid game presence, even like late game burst. I don't know.
Well, we don't know all the cards, obviously, but still, like
Oh, yeah.
running just
I like
one
this.
at this time is good. It can be better, and if we can build a deck around this card, it will be even better then, because it's situational. But if you can, like as MaSsan said, like if you have 4 cards that this card actually works with, and a lot of cards that it can be used on, it might be really good to run 2 in the deck.
Yeah, I think so. And there's going to be really cool plays from time to time that you can do. Like if they silence, I don't know, like say your Flame Tongue or something, and then you bring it back. Does it pop on the right side? Does it pop where it is? Like
Yeah,
there's a
we
lot of
have to test it.
questions. Yeah, there's a
Exactly.
lot of questions with this deck that you're not exactly sure about that might have its situational uses. I don't know.
Even
Seems
like a
pretty-
heal, like a simple thing, like you have this Chillwind Yeti, you attack into a Azure Drake, it's still alive, and then you rebirth it and you have a clear Yeti next turn.
Yeah, that is also true. It's kind of crazy to think about some of the uses you can put in, but that's also what's really neat because this card has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Shamans are gonna counter Handlocks even more now, though.
You're removing taunt from the
Yep.
giants.
And Unsilence is potentially Ancient Watchers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Twilight Drakes will come back as 4/1s, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
it's
Oh my god.
Another way, it's like another way to mess up the
This card-
Twilight
I
Drake.
know,
It
right?
just creates opportunities. It's like insane. The Handlock is dead anyway because of the Druid card, so whatever.
Right. Rip. So this card is definitely cool. Check it out. We got ours from, I think, Liquid Hearth or Hearthstone, but if you want, you can just search up the Nax Rammus cards. You can find it pretty much anywhere. And we still don't have any dates of release though. And that's what makes it sad because I was really hoping it'd come out for DreamHack at least. Maybe just 1 set of cards, maybe like 4
Maybe
or
the
5.
next DreamHack Valencia.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if we could see that. I guess we'll just transition directly into talking about our ladder adventures. MaSsan, you kind of alluded. Yeah, that's the word. You alluded to it earlier by saying that you were climbing Asia and stuff, and you kind of peaked on your stream and you were playing a lot of Shaman and Druid. So just share some of the ladder stories or some of the adventures that you've had over the past week.
Oh god. Actually, there's the funny part. So I built this because I didn't have enough cards in Asian server. I built this budget shaman deck, which costs like around 1,000 dust to create. Then I just put in Thanos into the deck. This deck is basically it's common shaman deck without Alakir, but with the Doomhammer instead. Well, actually, yeah, with the Doomhammer instead. Then apparently I hit rank 2 in Asia with that budget deck, and I tried on LNA and it worked out pretty well as well. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, you just
Apparently, but the shaman deck is
MaSsan
crushing.
OP.
No. I think it's just a deck. Maybe.
It's very consistent. Like I had a look at the budget shaman deck that MaSsan created, and I can really recommend it. Like it's really consistent with most of the cards being in 2 copies, and the curve being pretty good as well. So it seems like a
Curve is
very
amazing.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah, the Yeti actually helps out so much in terms of filling out the like a lot of the other cards also just kind of fits naturally and stuff, but you know like it kind of makes sense because of the overloads and stuff. So it does end up flowing well. I've been playing a lot of Shaman too on my Europe account, and it helped me climb basically to rank 1. And I used Zoo to basically push to legendary from that point because I was seeing a bunch of like, you know, classes that I could punish with it and stuff. So it's a really good deck overall. What do you think, Gnimsh, about, I guess, MaSsan Shaman deck?
Well, I said like I really liked it. It's like
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
sorry,
I
I
can
thought you were
actually add
commenting.
some. I can add some more horror stories if you want, like on my end. I was actually creating them because
My
at
bad.
some point I thought that I can experiment with the current metagame, and like I really dislike the fact that Hunter is gone. I want to bring back the class, so I was trying to build a new Hunter build with a mid-range one because I really like the Handmaster. Like for 4 mana, it's if you have a beast on board, it's a 6/5 for 4 mana, which is pretty cool. So I wanted to abuse that, and I've ended up with a weird build with double faceless manipulator, trying to faceless Leroy and like using a bursty mid-range shaman, like just abusing the big
You
dudes.
too? Just add Leroy and Faceless to
I
any
was-
deck?
yeah, obviously started all the decks with that, and I even had King Crush for a moment. I was even able to win
God.
one game with King Crush. Most of the time, I was just sitting on King Crush and them having 10 health, and me not having enough mana to finish them off with the Crush. But I won one game, so it was kind of a horror story for me. Basically, like the deck was awful. And I don't recommend it at all. I felt like 1500s, Legend 1500 something. So,
And you
but I
tried
have
busting it out on NESL too, right?
well, I an ESL I was playing actually like a normal hunter build like that I'm playing on Take TV as well, and on Take TV the team tournament, and it works pretty well. I mean, I really like the comp that I'm running, like, and those all of the King of the Hills. I'm getting Handlock, Miracle Rogue, and Hunter, and I feel like this comp covers most of the matchups that I can actually face with Hunter countering Druid, Warrior, and Handlock. So if my Handlock falls to Warrior, I still have a Hunter as a backup. Like against Handlock, if I fail, like most of the decks are good versus most of the matchups there. So I was thinking if I should play Mage, but I felt like Hunter is better there. And also versus Shaman, like I really like the matchup from the Hunter's perspective. Unfortunately, it didn't work yesterday.
Well, I mean, it's still like uneasy for Shaman to build the board. Like, it still hasn't changed too much. I mean, the expectation of combo possibilities has changed with the 3 mana of Unleash, but like, it's still really strong. Like, from time to time, I lose to it because you still don't expect, like, you know, when the Leroy Unleash and like a Timberwolf comes out, it's still really ridiculously powerful. So, like,
But
people
even like
still underestimate it.
when you're playing versus Shaman, like mostly what you face is like Unbound Elemental and Feral Spirit and maybe a Totem, and then you unleash on turn 6 or something, and you get all those cards in your hand, and you clear the board or like almost clear the board with what you get, and that is the turn you get a lot of advantage. And if there is no Feral Spirit and you have those Marks of the Wild, you can really clear the board and get a lot of advantage there.
No,
And
the
mostly like,
Hunter's Mark. Right?
yeah, exactly. So like I feel like Hunter's Mark is one of the key cards in the matchup. Like you really want to use Hunter's Mark on Unbound Elemental or like one of the Feral Spirits that they play. So well, I was mostly winning the matchup, but an ESO didn't work. I didn't get the Buzzard and the Unleash.
Yeah,
Had some
rough stuff.
What do you guys think about like aggro Paladin to counter those handlocks as well as rogues?
Definitely counters handlock, but you have to play smart and you have to get Divine Favor because you need to kill the first giants.
I think that second part's more important than the first part.
Yeah, the favor is super important.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like easy to lose with aggro Paladin if you go yellow too early. Like if you deal a lot of damage early, you're just stuck with no cards, and they start playing big dudes, and then you just lose in 2 turns or something. But if you take your time to accumulate some cards in your hand, like deal some damage, like to 17 or 18, and then start dealing with their board and accumulate the answers, then it's an easy matchup to play. And against Miracle Rogue, well, it's a race, so it really depends. I think it's 50-50, maybe.
Really?
Maybe I don't know. Like I was playing I think I've played 5 games versus Miracle Rogue, and Miracle Rogue wants to have a hand, the same hand like you want to have against Zoo. It's like Backstab, SI7, Farseer. So you battle for board control in the beginning, which is kind of easy if you get those cards, and then just start pushing with damage. And Paladin is just not fast enough. And if they miss Divine Favor, you can just trample them because they won't have cards to beat you.
Yeah, I mean, rogues are starting to play a little bit more aggressive on the board and realize that they're up against aggro paladin. There's no sense of, well, keeping every card you have, right? You don't want like 8 cards. You know, like my experience with aggro paladin, because I tried it a little bit, and it's just like you said, Gnimsh, it just felt like there were so many points throughout the game where you have to decide if you want to go all in, and you potentially could win, but you really have no contingency plan, and you're kind of like dependent on drawing like an equality consecration to bring you back.
Yeah.
Because even Divine Favor sometimes doesn't bring you back because you draw like 3 1-drops, and it's like, cool. I still have like 2 Abusive Sergeant and like a Argent Protector here. Like I'm not actually still going to win this game. So it just feels like a more YOLO version of Zoo in so many ways. And there's so many times where I feel like I have to commit too much. And if Druids have Swipe, if there's Hellfire, like I just feel like I don't do anything. I'm like, and this just falls flat. I don't know. I'm pretty mixed on the deck overall, MaSsan, to answer your question. Like, I don't find it consistent enough for me personally, but I know some people really like it. What do you think?
Well, I was actually running against the one with the equality, which a lot of aggro paladins tends to skip. And the theory behind it is that you just get them low, like early on. Doesn't matter in number of cards you have, as long as you have equality against at least handlocks. Let's talk about that first. And then handlocks are gonna play taunts and molten giant, and you just equality that and get through to the rest of the damage.
Yeah.
So I thought they'll be pretty cool to put in a tournament deck to just counter a few decks, although it's probably gonna get countered right after.
Yeah, it's definitely like a one, basically to stop a deck if you want to kind of seize momentum back.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the Yeti thing in Shaman deck was Ty's idea. He did not actually take a look at the deck, but we were talking about how Shaman should play in constructed. We were not really talking about budget deck, but just in just normal constructed. Then he brought up that out. I'm like, oh, why don't I put this in? Because Shamans do really like 4-drops. Only 4-drop they have typically is a defensive Argus.
No,
just wanted to give him a shout out for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeti in a Shaman deck is a good thing. Like it was there before in a couple of builds, but somewhere it was lost somewhere on the way. But it's definitely a very strong card.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you guys are saying. And shout out to Ty. He's a really good deck builder in general. You should absolutely check out some of the fun stuff he has. Before we move on to what I wanted to feature with the deck, now that we're talking about Ties, it kind of brings up an interesting thing. Do you have any opinions on Ties' Warrior deck, specifically Gnimsh, because you faced against it, and it's kind of unique. Like, people have been flirting with the idea of playing cards like Arcanite Reaper and stuff in Control Warrior. I guess I don't know Control Warrior, but it's more like mid-range Control Warrior or something. It's a weird fusion. It's Tides Warrior. Do you have any
I mean,
thoughts on that deck?
I mean, do we have a list? Because like the list that I remembered is the from Deck Wars, and there was no Arcanite Reaper. There was Leroy though. That's for sure. He got Ragnaros. I think.
Yeah, actually, I saw it on stream. I don't think there's a deck list out there because I think that was a surprise thing, and I think our production guy is scrambling. It's like, where is this? I didn't see the
Oh,
notes.
yeah. Okay.
I apologize, but he is running like interesting cards like the Arcanite Reaper, playing Leroy as well,
Yeah,
so that
I
he
feel.
can get burst.
I think it's a very good idea because right now with Miracle Rogue, you really want to race them. You want to deal as much damage as possible to just win the race first. And you have all the healing cards like Shield Block and stuff, so you're getting a lot of armor. So it should be easier to win the race. So I really like the direction he's taking. I mean, I like it because I'm an aggro player, but the changes that KitKats did, bringing Corcoran and Azure Drake, like you have a lot of more beef in mid game. So expanding into Arcanine Reaper and Leroy instead of Ragnaros, and like cutting a bit from the big drops that are really too late to play them, is a really good idea. So when I was playing that against his warrior, it was mostly anybody's game. We were racing, and I got my cards, got my answers, so I was able to kill and move the combo. But if I would be like late 1-2 turns, he would just win, and that's it because he was really aggressive on that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. It gives like a weird win condition that people aren't used to because if you have like a Gore Howl out by turn 7 or 8, and then it's up and you're kind of within low critical range and you Leroy Faceless, all of a sudden that is another 15, 16, 17 damage that seemingly comes from nowhere, especially if they Alex Strauss the following turn. And sometimes, that gives you a little bit more flexibility to use Grommash and whatnot. So it's just like another way to really surprise people. It does tend to feel a little dead though, because I played a couple games of it, and like I drew Leroy early on and it just sat there and I couldn't do anything for a while. But Tides is thinking of interesting stuff, and it just feels like Leroy Faceless in any deck, right? Pretty much. I mean, Forsen was playing it in Miracle for a long time as well, so why not? Like Leroy Cold Blood Faceless.
Well, I just seen the combo in Murlocs. Like people were playing Faceless in the Murloc deck, like having Leroy and Faceless as well. It's a good combination.
It's madness. We'll see if Blizzard ends up nerfing Leroy. We already talked about that extensively last week, so we don't have to.
Is that actually one more thing? Like Blizzard nerfed Pyroblast because Pyroblast was 10 damage on turn 8, right?
Yep.
Right now we have 12 damage on turn 9. Or
but it's 2 cards.
Yeah,
and it can be stopped with taunts.
With taunts, yeah. Okay, it's not that bad then.
Right.
It's fine. Don't nerf Leroy.
Or Knife Jugglers, because I actually played. Okay, I have one ladder story to share. I absolutely lost this one zoo game. Like I was just playing zoo because I was towards the end of the night. I didn't really want to think too much, and I was playing it. I had one Knife Juggler out. I lost. He had like an Ancient of Lore out. He had a Keeper of the Grove. He had everything. He was playing Token Druid. He had like 5 minions out, and he just had to attack with the minions on the board. But he decided to play Leroy, and my Knife Juggler hit his 5/1 Ancient of Lore and his 4/1 Druid of the Claw, and he lost his win right there, and he just conceded on the spot. And I was laughing because I was like browsing Reddit and stuff. I was like, this game's over. Like, forget this. But instead of conceding, I just kind of let him have it. And the my Knife Juggler won the game. It came in through clutch. So that's how you counter Leroy, right? Double Knife Jugglers.
Oh yeah.
On the board.
It's actually pretty good counter if you have 2 up. Like
yeah, they can't play.
Four knives. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a fun thing I want to share. I guess we can talk briefly about this this deck that's been kind of hitting ladders. Some people have been seeing Mage recently, and I thought it was worth discussing a little bit. People call it New Age Mage. It takes after Duckwing Face, who got pretty high on the rank in NA.
I think he got like he was playing this mage on both EU and NA. On EU, he was lingering around like rank Legend 700 or something, but on NA he was stomping people with it. Like he got to Legend 40 easily, and at one point he was tweeting like, "Hey, I'm fourth on NA with this mage deck." So
Wow.
yeah, it's a pretty good deck actually.
Yeah, what do you think of the build? It seems to it's scale. It's like one of those scaled back where you have Antonidas and you play a little bit more mid range, but you also have like Violet Teachers in there because there's so many spells. MaSsan, let's start with you.
Oh god. This honestly seems to be typical mid-range aggro mage deck that I've been seeing. Only difference I see is
The
there
Violet Teachers.
actually.
There's no difference.
Yeah,
Well,
there's no difference. It's just
One
I
acolyte
guess
of
you
pain.
want to talk about the Violet Teacher. I want to talk about the Violet Teachers, and I guess
Violet Teacher. That's
and the place this deck has in the meta specifically, because I've been seeing it quite often. You know, what's it good against, what's it weak against, etc.
I have a lot to tell, but MaSsan, please continue.
actually Gnimsh. Sorry, you want to start with it?
No problem, no problem.
Sorry,
ahead.
you want to start with it?
Yeah, I can start with it. I was because I love mage. Mage is my favorite class. Alongside warlock, like they are pretty even, but I was playing with it as well. I got this list from Duckwing. I was just like message Duckwing, hey, I need to play mage. Give me a list, and he gave me this exact list. It's a pretty cool list to play because in the beginning you try to deal as much damage as possible, so you try to get like an early hand. It has a lot of surprise effects with when you play, like you can kind of cheat at some turns. For example, on turn 6, you can play Violet Teacher, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then play Mirror Image for free. It's like suddenly your board is huge because you just got 2 tokens, a 1/1, a 3/2, and a 3/5, and everything needs to die as soon as possible. So there's a lot of those cool turns that you can really play those cards. Water Elemental is insane. Like this guy is so good versus Rogue, versus Druid, versus like Warrior, versus all those classes that really can use weapon and want to use the hero power. Water Elemental is sick. Like Hunter as well. This guy, when you play it, it's a 3/6, and this guy needs to go down as soon as possible because it will really deal a lot of damage and it will get tempo. Flame Strike is a key card versus Zoo, and also a very good card versus Miracle Rogue. It's a kind of late card because it's 7 mana, but on the other hand, with this deck, you're constantly fighting for tempo. So like you're playing minions, and if they don't kill your minions, you just finish them off with your fireball. So they are kind of if you're playing versus Zoo, for example, it's more like minion for a minion battle. So you are both like trading minions, and then at some point the warlock will get an edge because he has life tap and stuff, so he'll play more stuff, and you have that flame strike. So turn 7, you are still alive, and then you flame strike, and you win at that point after the flame strike. So yeah, there is like a lot. Also, you can have like those best openings ever with like double mana worm, coin mana worm, coin mana worm, and then next turn play
Mirror
arcane
images.
missiles. Yeah, and mirror images, for example. It's so sick. Like, what do you even do
that's
with
gross. And then like they play a minion, you frostbolt it, and you do like 5 damage. You play another big minion, and you fireball it, and you do like 7 damage. It gets crazy.
Also, it's like in this deck, you really have to think about drawing cards, like because you go dry so fast with those cheap cards that you can just cast and leave them on board. So trying to get as many card draws from Acolyte of Pain is very important. Trying to get Arcane Intellect. In some matchups, you just keep Arcane Intellect in your opening hand because you want to draw those cards, filter through your deck, and have as many cards as possible. But yeah, it's pretty cool to play, and also Antonidas is so cool. If you play the big guy, it's super hard to remove him, and then you like whatever, I silence your face, I freeze you, I don't deal damage, but I just traded my 1 mana card into a fireball. But you have to watch out. Like if you're playing versus Handlock, Antonidas is actually dangerous Like many times I had a situation where, I mean, many times, 2 times actually. I play Antonidas, they play Faceless Manipulator, Soul Fire into me, get a Fireball, cast Fireball, Soul Fire into me, and cast another Fireball. And I was like,
Oh
okay.
my god.
Wow. That's awesome.
Like, it took some turns, but yeah, it's dangerous. Also, a funny thing is like when they copy your Antonidas and Soul Fire you, it's possible that they will discard the Fireball that just got created in their hand. Just a
Oh,
small
I
thing.
didn't know
That's an
that.
interesting mechanic.
Somebody on Reddit found it.
Yeah, that's interesting order of operations. Well, that's a really cool breakdown of it. I agree with your assessment of the card draw. Like that's always been my biggest problem. I played this a lot last season, like the aggro mage, 'cause I thought it was coming back, and I just ran out of gas so often. But it makes sense if you play like Azure Drakes to help keep up your mid game momentum and stuff, and you get card draws and keeping Arcane Intellect in the beginning. That was my biggest complaint, like not having card draw, because especially if you do get the Dream Start and Miracle Road just like backstabs SI7 and like Deadly Poison, you're just like you just lose pitifully from that point on. But I guess if we toss it back to Gnimsh before we go to MaSsan, like what do you think are some of these good matchups and bad matchups with this deck?
Um, Well, I really like also continuing on the deck itself and why the matchups are good or bad. Like there is a lot of flexibility in this deck because Fireball, for example, can be used as a finisher, 6 damage out of nowhere, or 7 if you have like Azure Drake or Foulness. But on the other hand, it's a great removal card. Like if they play turn 4 Yeti, you can just Fireball it. If they play turn 5 Druid of the Claw, you can also Fireball it. So it's a pretty good removal card. And one more thing, which is really important for this deck, and it's not visible at first sight, is the Fire Blast for 2 mana, the hero power. 2 mana, 1 damage, any target. It's game changing, really. It's like you play Arcane Missiles, do 2 damage to a target you wanted to damage, and then you finish it up with Fire Blast. You have good trades because of Fire Blast, and Fire Blast is really pushing some matchups there. So the matchups are Zoo is super tough, but it's winnable. I actually had like a good percentage, win percentage versus Zoo, but it's mostly Zoo mostly wins versus Mage, because it's like spawning the board. You can't deal with everything, and you basically lose. But there are those traps that I mentioned, that Flame Strike and like playing board and forcing them to trade with you, and if you are not losing the cards, if you're able to draw some cards, you will be winning versus Zoo. Handlock, pretty cool. You mostly want to deal as much damage as possible, but don't get Molten Giants too early and then finish them up with Fireballs, with Antonidas and stuff. Flame Strike is also important versus Handlock because you try to force them into having a setup and then you Flame Strike the board. So like, it's like you have some stuff, like for example, I loved having Violet Teacher and some tokens attacking into the giant. I got them low. They got like the setup, the Molten Giants and stuff. I had Violet Teacher and some tokens, and got all the giants to like 4 health, and then next turn Flame Strike, and then just clear the board, and they are empty. Shaman is pretty good because Shaman doesn't have healing effects. So you just trade and then finish them off. Warrior is a nightmare.
Oh, that's the worst.
Warrior is the
Druids
worst.
Druids and Warriors are like
Oh my god, Warrior is so bad. Yeah. Druid is tough, but Druid is yeah, Druid definitely has an edge. It's winnable, but Warrior is a nightmare. Like it's the worst matchup possible. Yeah. And Miracle Rogue is weird. It's like Aggro Paladin versus Miracle Rogue. It's like you try to raise them, and it really depends on what they have and what you have. Like if you're able to draw into your combo like double Iceland, some freeze effect early, and finish them off before they finish you off, which is basically what, turn 6, 7, you win. But it's tough.
Oh, it's a great primer on the matchups. MaSsan, now that you've had a lot of time to think about it, do you have any thoughts on this deck?
I mean, this deck, I actually looked at it again. I looked over a few of the cards. Then I realized this deck tried to cover all the early game, mid game, and some of the late game all together. So I feel like this deck should have very inconsistent draws. How do you feel about that, Gnimsh?
It's like, well, personally, I'm always drawing 2 Leper Gnomes in the coin, but No, I had some inconsistent draws as well. I was playing. I think last Friday was last Friday I was on in the ESL Polish studio and I played a feature match against Lothar. I used this exact deck and won against Lothar with 2-0. First game I had a really consistent double upper gnome draw, but and then like next game I had a weird hands and I still won because you have those drawing effects, like you have Arcane Intellect, you have Acolyte of Pain. If you're able to abuse this, like you either draw the good cards you want to have, like the low cost things that can deal damage, or you draw the drawing cards. So your early game won't be that fast, but you will have more cards like around turn 5, 6, 7 that you can use and burst people. And you still have really strong 4-drops with War Element.
You definitely do.
Yeah, so it's like turn 2, even if like if you don't play anything turn 1, turn 2 you use Fire Blast to deal 1 damage. Some of the decks are not that fast, and if you have a strong turn 4 and start getting bored from there, you can get back into the game. Against Zoo, you won't have a chance. Like if you get an inconsistent hand versus Zoo,
you start too slow. Like if you get a couple spells and like a Water Elemental and an Azure Drake, you feel like, oh well, this was fun. GG.
Yeah, but you can stall. Like you can try to stall with this deck to get the cards you need. Like Mirror Image can tank a lot of damage. Ice Lancing, something big, even if you don't kill it, just to freeze it and to get some health points and try to get to the turn 7 to Flame Strike the board. So you can try to stall with this deck as well. I love Juggler.
I mean, so you can... Go ahead.
I just love Knife Juggler and Mirror Image.
Yeah, that's like
that's so
such a gross... Especially with Sorcerer's Apprentice, like you can squeeze in so much stuff. It's disgusting.
Exactly, the small little combos.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really play much Mage. At least I haven't since Test Season 2. And yes, it's a long time. Like, I mainly play Druid, Shaman, Rogue, and all this matchup seems to be just very strong against Mage that I actually just didn't have much thought. I never needed to think about, oh, it's a Mage. It's gonna be relatively easy game compared to hand blocks. So
yeah, you just face roll. Oh, Mage, free win. That's cool.
Cool. Well, I still recommend people to check out this deck and maybe play around with it. It's just cool because it does exist and it can win some. Like I think it's actually good against handlock because the burn just naturally plays into it, and you have win conditions to kind of help you there, get you there. And handlock gives you the time to set up like absolutely everything you need. You just have to make sure not to overextend to Hellfire and stuff and Shadow Flame. But once you do, like I've always had a really favorable matchup against handlock when I played this. So I think it does have its place in the metagame for most people. So I encourage everyone to check it out if you can. We found this deck on Hearthhead, so you can go ahead and hop on over there if you want. So that pretty much wraps up the show, guys. Before we go, I guess we have some closing thoughts and shout-outs. So, MaSsan, you're the guest. Go ahead.
Well, shout-outs to my team, Team Solomid, as well as their sponsors, Razer, Logitech, for now.
Oh, God.
And well, thanks a lot for having me, guys. Really enjoyed talking.
It was good. We'll have you again sometime soon. Gnimsh, go ahead, man.
Well, shout out to the Doggy House guys and Strive Crow, who's not Doggy House yet, but maybe in the future. Yeah, shout out to all the viewers. Like, thank you guys for tuning in and following the show. Tell your friends. Like, we will be here. Shout out to MaSsan or shout out to MaSsan definitely for joining us. Like, man, it's what 4 a.m. right now in Korea. 5 a.m.
Oh man,
yeah, that's hard.
Thank you,
I know.
Man. I really appreciate that.
I was playing at the same time yesterday, playing NESL. It was fun. So yeah, thank you for watching us and tune in for the next week. That will be my shout out.
Cool, man. You forgot one thing, but I'll do it for you. So I want to thank everyone who's kind of watched. We really apologize that this week we couldn't get the show live on Twitch, but it is going to be on YouTube and iTunes and everything like that. Make sure to send all your feedback and make sure to check out the King of the Hill for IR to you later this week. Also, make sure to watch the Tavern Takeover this weekend, which features Gnimsh playing there. That's something he forgot to mention. And good luck to MaSsan in the Korean qualifier for BlizzCon. That's
Oh,
pretty
thanks.
much everything I wanted to say too. All right,
Thanks,
so
brother.
I guess we're wrapped up here. So this has been Turn 2, episode 21, a show about Hearthstone with Frodan, Gnimsh, and MaSsan. We'll see you guys next time.